Hi guys, it's Eileen McKusick, and I'm checking in with you from Jamaica. I haven't done many of these lately because I've been here and it's been hard to find a background that doesn't have a rooster going off in it. I'm at a friend's house today filming for other things, so I thought I'd check in and use this opportunity without roosters and with pretty good lighting to just touch base on what's on my mind today. And what's on my mind today is dealing with uncertainty. Dealing with uncertainty. I think that's something that we're all dealing with in a really huge way at the moment. And it's a really hard thing to do. I've often said that living with uncertainty, becoming comfortable with uncertainty is one of the most difficult things to master. And we're all being thrust into that very squarely, very squarely. I just had to give up all of my plans for the rest of 2020. I was supposed to leave Jamaica next week. I was going to go to Vermont and Colorado and California and film this and film that and do this and that, and I'm not doing any of it. I canceled all the rest of 2020. We canceled all of our in-person classes, and 2020 is the year of that it was canceled, and that's hard. I suffered heartbreak for a few days over that. I'm sure many of you have suffered heartbreak over many things, and beautiful plans for weddings and for graduations and for parties and for funerals. So we've all suffered a lot of losses, and in the midst of great uncertainty. Well, that's really a lot to take. So let's just acknowledge how hard this has been. Whoever you are, whatever your business, whatever you do, however you've been impacted, whether you've been impacted by people's sickness or, who knows, right? There's no end of ways that we become impacted by all of these circumstances beyond our control. And what it's doing is it's putting us into a position where we are really being forced to just live in the moment. To live in the moment. I'm really being forced into it. In fact, yesterday, I thought I was going to come here and film these videos yesterday. But on the heels of canceling all the rest of 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be attached to anything, anywhere, anytime. I'm just going to play every single day by ear. And this really funny thing happened. My husband and I were sitting and we were talking about what we do. He said, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm playing the whole day by ear. And so we were sitting there and kind of powwowing and figuring out what needed to happen. And then suddenly the ladies who were sitting next to us said something about how they'd gone to the vet and gotten some NexGard. And Frank was like, oh, that's right. The vet's only open one day a week here in the Grill. It's like Wednesday, you got to go to the vet. And he's like, well, you got to go to the vet and pick up some NexGard for the dogs. And he said, and you also need to link our friend Champy, who's helping us execute a project down here. And he said to me, so why don't you kill two birds with one stone? Champy's a cab driver. He said, why don't you call Champy and have him give you a ride to the vets, because my husband was using our car. And so I picked up my phone and I'm trying to call Champy, and all of a sudden he shows up on the street. And, we're not far from the road and we see him. And Champy shows up and beeps. And I was like, hey, I was just trying to call you. and so I ended up going off with him and taking care of the vet thing and the other thing that we needed to do. And it was completely unexpected. And that kind of timing with people showing up just like that, that happens a lot. That's an island phenomenon. So maybe some of you have encountered, it's not just Jamaica, but somehow an island's like you always run into who you need to run into, when and how. And it's kind of got a mind of its own. And so I never did come here to film, but that was okay because I had decided, that I didn't know what my day was going to bring. And then today I decided to come here, and then all of a sudden a meeting that we were supposed to have, suddenly we realized that it wasn't scheduled. And so all of a sudden I was like, oh God, now I'm going to have to go to this meeting. But then we decided we didn't want to do the meeting. And so I came here. So I just say these things because I think that the way that we really effectively deal to the very best of our ability with living with uncertainty is by surrendering completely to having no idea what's going to happen and enter into a willingness to just play it by ear. And to trust yourself in that. I mean, that's a kind of, for a lot of people who've lived lives that are very structured, and very orderly. You're playing, the notes in the liners in the music, and that's what I'm doing every day. To suddenly have to throw away the sheet music and start to improvise in each moment can be really terrifying. It can be really terrifying. But if you actually start to surrender to it, you can find that things actually work out. In this moment right here, all is well, things are working out. And so I just want to invite you to, anytime you start to go into that froth of like, what's going to happen? How are we going to pay the bills? How's anything going to work? Well, who knows? Who knows? I mean, the earth could be destroyed tomorrow by aliens. And then all that fussing that you were figuring out, like, how am I going to pay next month's rent? It was a complete waste of energy. Okay. I mean, things do work out. Think of all the times in your life. I'm sure you've had them. I've certainly had them. When I've been in a complete dead end in all different kinds of ways. I'm like, well, I don't know how we go on from here. But then we do. It might not be comfortable. It might not be easy. But life isn't always comfortable and easy. And it's the things that aren't comfortable and aren't easy actually develop character. So, and that's always a good thing, in hindsight. We can turn into diamonds or we can turn into dust. And that all depends on how present you are in the now, in the center core of your being. If we're all spun out in the future and the past, then our biofield energy ends up being more easily turned to dust. But if we're really centered and present in our core, just kind of breathing into each moment, then we're much more likely to have the stress and the pressure that we're undergoing now and that will probably continue to increase, has the potential to really turn you into a diamond if you can just take a deep breath and commit to going with the flow and decide that you're really good at improv. Okay? So that's my message for today. Thanks. I hope it's helpful.